Hey guys, today I wanted to talk about counterplay as a concept, not just in poker but in general. For those of you who don't know, I play I think it's the most popular game in the world right now, League of Legends, and they share quite a lot of terminology with poker, namely when someone's on tilt or you're feeling tilted, they talk about that, whereas like in my last house we were commonly talking about how describing tilt to someone outside of the poker community was pretty much impossible because either they'd never heard it before or it's just a concept they'd never really, felt. So we basically settled on the description of like, it's kind of like being upset or frustrated about like, if things haven't gone your way and you felt like they should have gone your way. And yeah, I guess it's more common in like computer gaming and stuff, and that's why some of the terminology is shared. And I was recently watching a video about chess, Magnus Carlsen playing some game, and so basically the term counterplay, I heard it in a League of Legends video and a chess video, and obviously tilt and stuff I've heard in both as well. And I just thought I'd talk about counterplay because people don't really talk about counterplay, and well, they do talk about counterplay in terms of the concept, but they don't really talk about it as just the term. So I just thought I'd give it a shout out and just maybe mention it. And in particular, the phrase mainly is like no counterplay. Like if there's no counterplay to a strategy, then you just kind of auto lose, right? So I wanted to talk about against wide ranges of like an RFI of like 15% or wider. And then especially for this bankroll challenge, situations where there's no counterplay. So in League of Legends, like a spot where there's no counterplay is like if a guy has all of his spells up, and he can just one-shot your character. There's just nothing you can do. You just call that no counterplay, and like you've got to keep the mindset of you can't get tilted. There's nothing you can do there. Same in chess. Like chess is a game of like 100% information, and you probably made a mistake on a previous street or line, but there are going to be times where your pieces are like forked. I think the phrase is where they threaten two pieces, and you're going to lose one no matter what, potentially. I'm not a big chess player, so don't hold me to that. But so yeah, just to show you the kind of thing I'm talking about. So this is like an under the gun open. Well, the frequency is roughly correct. The actual range itself might be a bit different. So I just wanted to talk about like how people react to this. So like calling imposition against a range such as this is quite easy. There's a lot of unpaired stuff. So you just basically, like it's so obvious and it's so easy. You just have to pick hands which are stronger than the average or the bulk of this range, right? So if the range is this narrow, something like this, let's just do this. I think this is more or less what I open, I think, 17.5. Yeah, this is exactly what I open under the gun, I think. So my like kind of counter strategy to this strategy is to like get rid of those, call these, 3-bet a lot of these, call dominating hands against his unpaired stuff like this, just kind of stuff like this, get rid of most of these because the ace has got reverse implied odds, and I play like some of these at half frequency or 3-bet them half the time, get rid of these, maybe play these at half or a quarter, something like that, just have some board coverage or some spread. But the easiest way to look at is just to look at the domination factor, and like jacks, 10s and 9s are doing really well against like ace jack, ace 10, and the smaller pairs which are in his range. So you're just kind of coming in in the middle of his range, you're in position, and it's pretty easy. And then obviously when the ranges get to like the cutoff at 25%, you can just play like 1/3 of that, maybe 8%, 7%, easy calls or 3-bets and have some bluffs, stuff like that. It's quite easy to develop a counter strategy to quite a wide range. However, in the games for the micro challenge or the bankroll challenge, 4-bets are like so ridiculously narrow. Like, I mean, I don't want to say disproportionately so. I ran into kings plus, but if we just look at some of these hands, I'm not sure if the HUD is showing, but it shouldn't really matter. I mean, it just blocks some of the chip counts. Let me just see. Okay, it's not showing. So this was, I don't know, in my opinion this was a cooler. I mean, no, it's not really cooler. I think I could have folded this at some point just because the jack came and I lose to pocket jacks as well as kings plus. But at the same time I was just like, you know, I've got queens on 7-7-3 in a 4-bet pot, blind versus blind, like I'm probably not going to fold. So I thought this was, you know, whatever. It's not, the reason I'm talking about this hand, I'm not really talking about this hand as a bad beat. I'm just talking conceptually, like, it feels like 4-bets in general have just been kings plus, like, almost exclusively, and I wanted to talk about, like, is there actually any counterplay to this? I've talked about this hand in a previous video. This guy just 4-bet rips and I called off like a monkey, but we'll just ignore that. Well, not ignore it, but we'll just gloss over it. So small 4-bet here. Right now my HUD isn't even updating, but I've got no reads on this guy. And I just decided to jam. I think there's too many bad turns, and I'm probably not folding a brick anyway. So here I 3-bet a speculative hand. Yeah, and like even suited connector doesn't really have odds against his exact hand. And I just jam this flop, like kind of praying he has a flush draw like once in a blue moon, or it's just bet folding ace king. So we lose here. So this guy makes a mistake with tens. So although obviously this guy jammed with tens, which obviously isn't kings plus, we are in blind versus blind with a button open. Although I definitely think it's a mistake. It's like, you know, we're pretty late position, and also having aces obviously is a counter to a kings plus range. I'd say it's kings plus like 90% of the time. You'll get an impression here. I'm not really going to consider this because this guy back raised jam only a 60 big blind stack. So this guy did pot under the gun, which maybe should scare us. You know, and then we do improve, so that's good. But yeah, kings plus again. What happened here? So limp pre-raise. He's got 50 big blind stack, so I won't really care about this. Blind versus blind, I think we can very justifiably expand that to like queens plus or whatever. So min 3-bet. As it so happens, I do improve on the river, which is good. And here we get min 4-bet, and it's just aces, and I think we fold or get away from it. Oh, it checks now. Okay. We get 4-bet, same old story. It's just like, you know, late position, and maybe include queens. Seems fine. We 3-bet call ace king, and like, yeah, just not much counterplay to that 4-bet. I just felt like the price is just too good. He just jams. I don't really think there's any counterplay post flop to that. Like, we could be so toast here. Even against like the ace king with the ace of diamonds, we're not in great shape. So yeah, so we get some min 4-bets going on. I felt like I'd rather have suited connectors compared to like, to be honest, ace king. And maybe if we flop really good against 3-ways, then we can maybe win a big monster pot. But yeah, I mean, just the general consensus, like none of these pots post flop, like, I mean, I'm just so baited in to calling here. I did peel here. I think the peel it's okay. I mean, we are blind versus blind, but I don't think there's much counterplay on that turn. Yeah, there's just no counterplay there. And basically, the reason I'm talking about this is because I had some successful sessions yesterday on my laptop, so I wasn't recording it, but basically what I was doing was I was continuing with the pretty wide or aggressive open raises of, you know, normal sizes, and then also maintaining, you know, standard, or in my opinion, loose aggressive 3-bets of 6%, or other hands. These aren't really 3-bets. These are like 0.5% frequencies, calling half the time, 3-betting half the time, stuff like this and this. Yeah, the other stuff at some varying frequencies. And yeah, I just felt like I was having a lot of success with just 3-bet folding a ton, just because I didn't feel like, oh, this is awful, by the way. I didn't feel like we were getting 4-bet that often, or, I mean, it felt like I was getting 4-bet a lot, but I just think maybe it's just my mind playing tricks on me. So yeah, I was 3-betting aggressively, but then as soon as the 4-bet comes in from them, and same with the 3-bets, to be honest, I was just folding like 80% plus of my range, just because I don't want to say scared, but I was just showing respect to the tightness of the range. Like, compared to, so against this open, like I said, it's so easy just to slam dunk call jacks, 10s, 9s, 8s, ace queen, like even these broadways, the higher broadways, are like completely playable. Not that one, get out. They're just so far ahead. They're such an easy call. Whereas when the range is this, you can't, like, calling kings is behind this range, just because when you have kings, it's so likely to have aces. You're basically up against aces only, rarely chopping. And there's no counterplay to it. So it's just something I wanted to talk about. And, like, 5-4 suited has about the same as kings there, and then what else is there? Oh yeah, ace king off. Compare this. Yeah, it's better to have 5-4 suited than ace king off. Let's have a look at this one as well. About the same, and like they're all doing so bad, and like I know equity isn't everything, but when the 4-bet goes in, there's normally only 2 bets left, okay? And like if you assume they're just going to c-bet everything, like most of the time, you just don't realize all of your equity anyway. So I was seriously just considering just folding so much to these 4-bets, and also 3-bets. If I just put a 3-bet range, just like how I perceive people to 3-bet is like literally like this, maybe maybe some jacks. Like I don't really see anyone 3-bet out of place, and again against this, like I'm calling my continuing range against this range is like I call hands barely outside of it, like that. That's what I'll continue with. And to be honest, I think it was working really well. There were times when I felt like I was maybe getting exploited, or people were 4-betting a bit too much, but yeah, on my laptop I didn't have my HUD working. For some reason my HM2 wouldn't connect to the database, the PostgreSQL, SQL, whatever, which I've never seen before, but yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about that, and like, also I'm not saying I know all the facts about this, I'm not saying this is exactly how you should counterplay these, but I just was thinking, like, just in general, like what stack depth do you need to be at so that you can profitably 3-bet call like 5-4 suited or 6-5 suited? Like even 200 bigs deep, that'll be, so if you 4-bet to 25 or 24 bigs, that'll be like 50 big blinds in the pot, 170 back. I guess that sounds pretty okay. Bet like 30, 60, 110. Well, there's still only like 2 or 3 bets back in a 200 big blind deep pot with a suited connector, but maybe you can outplay. Yeah, the thing is, like Kings Plus, they just play so damn well all the time. Like there's very rarely a board where you're just like, damn, I'm so dead here. And obviously you can't check back and realize free equity because you're going to be facing c-bets quite a lot. So yeah, this is just what I wanted to talk about today. Let me just check if there's anything else. Oh yeah, then there's another line where I felt like I was getting completely rolled over in. Also, the reason why it's so hard, it often feels so hard to defend against 4-bets, is because, you know, if I'm 3-betting suited connectors, I'm unblocking these hands, which is really lame. Obviously Ace King is a much more comfortable call, or you just call anyway and just don't fold if you hit an ace or a king, but like, it's very hard to hold, is to physically hold aces when you get 4-bet, because you're holding 2 of the aces, and these are the types of hands they're 4-betting. So yeah, you're way more likely to feel a 4-bet holding, you know, your bluffs, and you're not very likely to get 4-bet when you're holding the effective nuts, and when you have kings you're more likely to run into aces, as opposed to if you have ace king, for example. So yeah, so the other line which was really like tilting to me was when people would when the villain is out of position and they would check call and donk jam a draw completing river for like as large as pot or 2x pot or just all in. I'll see if I can get the graph. Oh yeah, so this is the graph of when I like call a 4-bet. So yeah, it seems like this has only happened 3 times. I can't believe this, honestly. Wow, I must have really selective memory. So let's just see what happens here. We raise, bet, call, check, bet, call, and then donk jam. Did I say that I did not see showdown? Alright, let's do did see showdown. So the reason I put did not see showdown is so that it'd be where I folded. But if we just make it any, then we'll see my calls as well. This will be really interesting to me. I've never done this before. So I thought I had like no counterplay to this line. What I meant by that was yeah, wow, so that's really, yeah, so this is definitely refreshed, and I've never called against this line, but still I can't believe I'm remembering 3 hands out of like thousands. And it's just so frustrating because I never feel like I'm calling this spot. What that actually shows you is that these people are donk jamming, like, obviously they're not doing it with 1 blocker, they're doing it with 2 blockers, i.e. they have the nuts. Like, this guy has a flush here, the backdoor heart flush draw, which makes it incredibly unlikely for me to also have a calling range hand, like queen jack of hearts, you know. I mean, you know, it is really feasible for me to have 8-9 of hearts. There's so many flushes I could have, it's just unfortunate I don't have it. I'm not sure what happens here. Yes, we have ace king, and yeah, just donk jam. Like, there's no counterplay in this situation. When he has the flush, there's no counterplay. I mean, I should have flushes in theory, but you know, it's just unlucky that I don't. So well, not unlucky, like, from his perspective, if we knew both sets of hole cards, there would be no counterplay. And like here, like, it's so easy for me to have, you know, ace queen of diamonds, but you know, if this guy has, let's say, queen of diamonds and the ace of clubs, or queen of diamonds, well, yeah, I must have queen of diamonds and some kind of offsuit ace, so that's a really nice check call out of position with a gut shot on the turn. But I guess you could have queen 9 of diamonds, you know, and yeah, it's just frustrating. This one more so because I have the ace queen blocker as well, so it's really hard for this player to donk jam in this spot. So yeah, but honestly, it feels really petty for me to go over a sample size of 3 hands. I think in general, you know, I've played like, I don't know, 8,000 hands or 10,000 hands on this computer, but those hands were just sticking in my mind for so long. Maybe the filters are a bit messed up. I think there were times where people were min betting flop, min bet calling a raise, min bet call a raise, and then donk jam when a draw got there. So some of those hands will be missing, just because of the way the filters work. But yeah, so whilst we're on this, so yeah, we've played 12,000 hands, and those situations have only come up like, you know, 3 times, or with the 4 bets, like only what's it called? 23 times. So that is like a really low frequency thing. I did play, like I said to you, about how many hands on my laptop last night? Maybe 6,000 hands. So it was quite a lot actually. I did play pretty like 3 hours, and you get 2,000 hands an hour. So yeah, yeah, I think the stats are still pretty good. I think I was playing better post flop on my laptop. I was doing. Oh yeah, let me just show you this. Or should I? Is it showing on OBS? So yeah, we have 181 in the account, and then we have 44% of $50. That's $22. So we're on 203, which is the peak or whatever. So yeah, I wouldn't follow these too much. Just follow the actual dollar amount in my account. I think that's better. Just because rakeback's not set up, and rakeback's just too big of a deal. And obviously a lot of 6,000 hands are on my laptop. We did have a small winning session yesterday. But yeah, I think that's all I wanted to talk about for Counterplay. Oh yeah, I was just going to talk about my general strategy. So yeah, in single race pots, I've just been face rolling this percent of pot. It's just been feeling like, I don't know why it feels so good. Like I would love to feel comfortable using smaller bet sizes on flops and turns, but I just feel like basically when I use a small bet size, because the range I'm up against is wider, you know, people are peeling wider, they can show up with more hands that I'm not expecting them to show up with, like some goofy, you know, if the board is like 9-7-2 rainbow, and I bet like a half pot, you know, sometimes they'll just have like queen jack off, and I just won't be anticipating that, and sometimes I can really screw myself over on turns, just going for too thin value or something. Whereas when I bet the bigger sizing with 74% pot, I feel like I have a much better read on what the range I'm up against is, so that just feels really good. 3-bet pot, 66% pot feels fine. I mean, because I don't have 66% pot set up on my laptop, I think I was just mainly face rolling the 74% pot, and like that feels really good as well. And like I think part of the reason is because like it stops having a massive river bet back. Like sometimes you can get to the river on like let me just go through the numbers quickly. So we 3-bet out of position, okay? Let's just say they went to 2.5 BB and we go to 9. So we have, and we're the big blind. Button. So yeah, just big blind versus button spot. So we have 18.5 in the pot. We bet, let's just say 66% pot, which is roughly 12. I mean, I know it's 12, but I'm just double checking. So it's 12.2. Then that will give us, times that by 2, add on 18.5 is 43 BB on turn. Then we bet, I think 24 is the pretty standard size I remember from my 100 NL days. It all adds up to exactly $1. So that's 48 plus 43. Add 43. So 86. Oh, sorry, this is so yeah, this is 66 BB on river. And then you have this so we had 100 big blinds. Then we minus the 3-bet size, which is 9. Then we minus the flop bet, which is 12.2. And we minus the 24 BB on the turn. Okay, I guess 54 back on the river is okay. You know, it's a bit, I guess it's fine. I mean, that this distribution of bet sizes looks really good, but I think just if you make a small undersize 25. This doesn't really matter. if you undersize the flop, sometimes you can end up with really large bets back on the river. And obviously here, 54 BBs is over half of the stack. And especially when the in-position player is going to be calling like all of his draws, and like, you know, he wants to have a big bet back if he's got the nut flush draw. So if we just size these up a bit, so this is 66% simulation. Then if we do the 74% pot on flop plus 10 plus river jam. So we do 74% pot, we'll see how big the river bet is on at the end. So yeah, we have 18.5. That is God, I can't see. Right. Times by 18.5. So we have 13.7. 13.7. Times it by 2, because 2 bets go in. Add the original bet size, the flop's pot size, so it's 46. 46 on turn. Bet size is times by 0.74. 34. Times it by 2, because 2 bets go flying in, plus the original bet size is 46. So yeah, we have 113 in the pot on the river. Bet back is so we did have a stack of 100 minus the 9 minus the 13.7 minus the 34. So yeah, we only have 43.3 back. 43.3 back. And like, it looks really goofy to have such a small bet back, but there's just something so I don't know, pleasant or whatever about betting big on the flop and turn, especially when just feel like bet sizes closer to half pot are they don't really do the job, but you get peeled a lot. And like, you just get more fold equity, and you know, you're less vulnerable to goofy draws. It just feels good, but 66% pot is still fine as well. I think, you know, 54 into 86, I think that's still a decent ratio. You do have to just be careful, and always remember that the river decision is the most important decision of them all. And then full bet pots were just kind of like, you know, you can bet any size and then just jam the turn with your value hands. And yeah, paired boards I've been betting a half pot, and then just betting the turn with 74% pot. That's just been feeling really like fluid and good, just because it's so damn hard to flop trips. And also at the micros, people are calling like way too often with unpaired hands. So yeah, and then I may as well mention this as well. I've been much more aggressive with my no showdown value hands. Basically, people never bluff with like their showdown value or like low showdown value. So yeah, I've just been betting. These are like rough showdown strength levels. So like pocket eights and worse, I'll just kind of semi-bluff, you know, it's like a bluff, semi-bluff, or a flex play. So if the board is like 10, 7, 5, I'll just c-bet like 8s, and you know, I might be, you know, it's a kind of like a value bet if he calls with a 7 twice. You know, that can happen. Semi-bluff if we get to fold out ace queen, which is good on 10, 7, 5 or whatever I said it was. Then also a flex play, like you can bet the flop on 10, 7, 5 and potentially bluff off a 10 on a later street if it comes like queen king, or if like it straightens or a flush comes in, and we have decent blockers, like stuff like that. You can do a mixture of things. So yeah, this was just another thing I've been doing, just being really aggressive with my medium, well not medium, like if we define medium as a hand of like a pair of jacks or a pair of 10s roughly strength, then yeah, everything like pocket 6s, pocket 7s are more like a just bluffing with them more, and being aggressive and trying to get like hands a bit better to fold, and yeah, just doing that. So I think that's everything I wanted to talk about so far. I'm probably going to go straight into a video on either the unofficial bankroll, some 200 nil gameplay, or the bankroll challenge. But I don't think. Anyway, this video's already gone too long. I'll cut it short now and edit it together. All right, so yeah, I hope you maybe learned something. I also wanted to instigate some discussion about the counterplay issue of like how do you counterplay Kings Plus. Obviously having a HUD is useful to see how accurate the read is, but it does seem like a really solid read. So yeah, hope you learned something, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you soon.